Hello, my name is Waithaka. In this tutorial video, today I'll be showing you how to come up with a non-line class attendance register for use during teaching. Therefore, I want to welcome you, so let us start. So the requirement for us to create or to generate a non-line class attendance register will be using the Google technology, that is the Google Docs, and for this case, to be specific, we'll be using Google Sheets. So the requirement is that you must have a Google account, an email, a Gmail account, and that is the basic requirement for us to be able to generate an online class attendance register. This register will help us to monitor attendance of students in an online manner, and we'll be able to set it such that to be able to generate us analysis, and we'll be able to see the trends of how trainees are attending classes on a daily basis. And we can even populate the attendance of trainees on a termly basis, on a monthly basis, and even for individual units. Therefore, I want to welcome you to this video tutorial so that we are able to improve even the performance of our trainee through monitoring them on an online class attendance register platform. Welcome. So the first thing is to launch into your Gmail account using a Chrome. So you just double click it in order to launch it. Then, of course, if you've used the account before, your account will be displayed, and then you just click on the account to open. If you've not been using it before, then you need to open until you get to where the mails are. Once you launch your Gmail account, it will bring you to this page, and for us in this page we'll be interested in the 9 dots that lead us to Google Apps. We click on the 9 dots, and then we search Sheets. Then under Sheets we can right click on the Sheets and then open a new link. You open a link in new tab, and once we launch it, we can see it's indicated Google Sheet. Then we'll be interested to create a blank sheet. So we click on the blank, and it will launch us a spreadsheet that is on an online basis. So you must ensure that you have a stable internet connectivity, because Google Docs must run when you are connected to an internet. Therefore, once you've launched your spreadsheet, it's a blank spreadsheet. So the first thing is to save the document under a name that you'll be able to retrieve it written on. So for us to be able to save this spreadsheet I will click on this part where it's indicated and titled spreadsheet. We'll click there. Once that name is highlighted, we will type the label for the sheet, or the name under which we want to save our sheet on. So we can just call it an online class attendance register. Online class attendance register, then we click on an empty cell. So that's how we name our sheet. And then again, you'll notice that this online register is usually customized to a specific class, and therefore we at the bottom of the screen where we have the name of the sheet, which is indicated sheet 1, then we might need to again name the sheet, because this sheet is for a specific class. Therefore, we'll just right click and rename the sheet. Maybe we can call, if it's a certain course, maybe DAL 600 or 610. It depends with whatever code that your courses are labeled. Maybe it's the year, there's an intake that will come maybe in January 2023. Maybe we can call it S23. Maybe we can even put a stroke S23 to denote the label for the class. And then we just click on an empty cell, and that sheet will be renamed according to the name of the class. Then once we've done that, we've already saved the sheet, the whole sheet with the name, an online class register. Then we have customized this specific sheet to a particular class. Then once we've done that, the other thing is to set the columns and the rows to be able to accommodate the details that we'll be inputting in the register, that will help us to be able to take register or to mark register for this specific class. Therefore, we'll start with the first row. And with the first row, we just click on where the serial number for the row. Then we right click on that row for us to change the row size. So we can scroll down and see the row size. Click on row size and you'll see that it's already specified at 21 pixel. So we need to adjust that, and for this case we'll adjust it to 75 pixels. Then we do the same to row number 2. We set row number 2, we resize it to 45. Then row number 3, again we can leave number 3 a little bit and we'll come back to it in a short while. Then row number 4, we can set it, we can resize it to 70. Can resize it to 70. Then row number 5, so we resize it again to 45. So we just right click on the serial number to give us this pop-up window, and then we choose resize row, we give it 45. Then we have row number 6 up to 21. So we can just select 6 up to 21. So just click on 6 and then hold your cursor and drag up to row number 21. And then we want to resize all those rows to one particular size, and we can resize that to 25. So we resize row 6 to 21. We put it to 25. Put it to 25. So that is where we'll have the name, the admission number for the members of the class from row 6 to 21. Then row 22 to 25, we can resize it. We'll use those rows to input formulas to be able to generate analysis for this specific class and specific students. So we can also resize it to 30. Remember, for the case of the number of trainees in a particular class, it will depend with the number of trainees in a particular class. So for now, we've picked like 15 trainees. So if you more than 15 trainees, then row number 6 to 21 will depend with the number of trainees you have in a particular class. So for the time being, we will deal with those number of rows, and then now we can concentrate on the number of columns, on the columns that we need. Then we'll start with the first column A. Column A, again, we resize it to a particular size, and for this case we will resize it to size 45. So what we need to do is to right click on the notation where the columns are labeled. That's where you right click. You'll get a pop-up, a drop menu, and then you pick, you choose resize column. Then this one we resize it to 45. Then column B, we resize column B to size 160. We resize column B to size 160. Then column C, we resize it to 200. Column D, we resize it to 70. Then column E, we resize it to 85. And then the other columns that are coming after column E, we can select a number of them depending with the number of days that we want to put. Maybe for demonstration purposes, we can resize it up to column Q, and then we can resize columns F to Q to 40 millimeters. So those columns that we've resized, they will help us to input the number of lessons in a particular week or in a particular month. So that's where we will input the number of lessons. Therefore, those are a few settings that we'll need for this online register. Then we can start inputting some of the details that we need for this register. So again, as we do that, we will be merging a number of cells, and definitely I'll show you how to do that. The first thing we need is that we need to create a section where we can input the logo of the company or the logo of the institution. And for us, we'll merge cells A1, B1, then A2, B2. So the first 4 cells, we'll merge them together, and we will do this by use of the merge icon, which is in our shortcut column, shortcut row, or shortcut bar. And then for us to be able to merge the 4 cells, we need to select the 4 cells. Then we click on merge, and the 4 cells will be merged, and that's where we will input the logo of the company. Of course, we expect that we have a logo of the company somewhere saved in our PC, or somewhere in a flash disk, or in the cloud. That's where we will pick our logo. Then we will also merge cell C2, D2, and E2. We will merge the three cells, and that's where we will indicate the name of the company. Then we'll also merge cell C2, D2, and E2, and that is where we will input the department under which this register will be domiciled. So therefore maybe we can just type the name of the company, and for this case I'll use my company, my institution, that is Kabete National Polytechnic. So you just type Kabete National Polytechnic, and then of course we can adjust the font size, the type of font. We can adjust that. We can use size 24. Then we can choose font type. We can use Times New Roman, and then of course you'll notice that the font is bigger than the given space where you are supposed to indicate the name of the institution. Therefore what we'll do is that we will wrap this text so that it can come in 2 rows. And for us to be able to wrap this text, we will select the cell, then we will hover around the text wrapping icon. We have a drop down arrow there, should give us a number of options. So we have the overflow, we have the wrap, and we have the creep. So for this case we will use wrap. So you click on wrap to wrap the text, and now you can see all the text. We are able to view it. Then we can align it, either left align, center, or right align, and for this case we pick center align. And then we can also align it at the middle of the cell. So we will use this icon of vertical align. We have a drop down menu arrow again, and then we will use the middle. We will select the middle option such that the name is centralized within that cell. Then the cell that is below it, we had merged it before. Then we will indicate the name of the department. Then we have the cell that is below the institution's name. We had merged it before, so we will indicate the department into which this register is domiciled in, and for this case this department is under Institute of Engineering and Built Environment. The name of the department is Department of Architecture and Spatial Planning. Again, we can still adjust the size. We can do size 12. Again, we can bold, and then we can of course we need to wrap it so that it fits in our cell where we want it to be. Then we can center align it, and then again we can centrally place it on that cell. So there we have the name of the institution, the name of the department. We can again bold the name of the institution so that it looks better. Then once we've done that, we now need to insert the icon or the logo of the institution. And remember, we had merged the cells before, where we had created a space for us to insert the cell. Therefore we will highlight that cell. Highlighting is by clicking that cell, and then we will go to insert in our menu bar. Insert, we'll click on insert, and then we'll go to image. Then we'll choose image in insert image in cell, and we'll click that to bring us to this pop-up window. And for us, because our logo is saved in our PC, then we'll just browse. Once we browse, it will take us to the PC, and for this case my logo is placed in pictures. Then I can search for the logo. Once you find the logo, then you just select it and then open. and then you leave it to upload. So once it uploads, it will appear in that cell. Again, we can centralize it to the center, and there it appears the way we want it to look like. Again, we had left cell 3 earlier on. Remember, we had said we'll come later to row number 3, and row number 3 is just a separator of the institution and the department's name with the rest of the online register. Therefore, what we want to do is just to create a separator between the two. Therefore, we will infill this row with some ink so that it can help us separate the two. And for this case, for us to be able to infill this row, we will select it first, click on the serial number for the row to select all the row, and then we can use this icon for fill color. Then we can choose a color that we want, and for this case we can choose a color depending with the corporate color of the institution. And therefore we will resize this column. Remember, resizing, we said you just select by clicking on the serial number of the column, then you right click on it, and then you resize, choose resize row, and then we can resize it to size 3 because we just want a thin separator, of the two parts, the institution name and the department, and the rest of the register. Therefore, then again we need to indicate the name of the class for which this attendance is prepared for. Therefore, we will merge cells A4 all the way to D4. So we'll select all these cells and then we'll merge them. So we've merged cell A4 up to D4, and then we can indicate the attendance sheet is for whatever month and whatever particular class. So therefore we call this attendance for maybe January 2023. Maybe is for this particular class we had named earlier before. So this is ADR 610/S23. Then again we can increase the font to 24. Okay, sorry, we need to select the text first, then we change it to 24. 24 is quite large, so we can bring it back to 18. We need to select all the text, then we can use size 18. Size 18, and then again we can centralize the title for the class. Then we can align it at the middle of the cell, and that will give us the name of the register, so that we are able to know, even if we were to print it out, we are able to know that this register is for this particular class for this month of January. And so then the row that is below it, that is where we will indicate the number of details. So here we'll have the serial number, and then we will have the other column, we will have the admission number, then on cell C5 we will have the full name for the trainees. Then on the other cell, that is D5, we will have gender, and then on cell E5 we will merge cell E4 and E5. E4 and E5 will merge those two cells. So we said for us to be able to merge is to select the two cells, and then we click on merge, and then here we will indicate, we will want to know the status of the student, whether they've reported to the department or not for a particular term. So we will indicate, or we will just label it term 1 reporting status, term 1 reporting status. In this cell E4 and E5, we've already indicated that we want to know the status of the trainee, whether they've reported in the department or not, and we've indicated it term 1 reporting status. Again, we wrapped the text so that you're able to see how it's coming in. We wrap the text, and that is term 1 reporting status. Then we can align it at the center, and that column will indicate us, will let us know whether the trainee has reported for that term or not. Then again, we said that from cell 6 up to cell 21, that's where we'll have the name of the trainees. So therefore we will have the serial number from 1 to 2, and now we can autofill. So for us to be able to autofill up to number 21, so we'll just select the 2 cells, and then we will click on the square dot at the end of the selection, and then we'll drag it up to cell 21, and that indicates that we have 16 trainees in this class. And then of course we will infill the admission number either from a previous Excel sheet, or we can type the admission number directly. Maybe we can say this is admission ADR 610 stroke 001. We can change a bit. We call this S23 to denote the year of the class, the class reported, and then we can say 001, and then we can autofill this up to row number 21 to indicate the maybe I should have used caps for the, we can use caps for the admission number. I can do that, undo that, and then use capital letter for the admission number, that is ADR 610 S23001, and then we can autofill that again up to column up to row number 16. So we have our admission 002, 03, 04 up to all the way to 016. Then again we'll indicate the full name of the student. Maybe this could be Kamau John. The other one could be Kiarie Peter. The other one could be John M. The other one could be Kariuki somebody. Kariuki J. So we do that all the way to number 16. maybe for the sake of time, we can copy this up to number 15, and maybe we can adjust the names again. It could be C, or alternatively you can pick the names from an already existing datasheet where you have the full names for the class, and then you can input the gender, and maybe this seems is like a male class. If it's a male class, then we indicate male, and maybe we can change a few names to include both gender. That is Kiari Jane, this is Kariuki Joanne. Could also have John, could have maybe Beatrice, Maina, and so forth. So this will be a female. Joanne again will also be a female. Then Jane will also be a female. The rest will be male, so we can autofill this with male. We can still copy and paste. We can copy and then paste. Copying and pasting is just right clicking on the cell you want to copy, then you copy, then you right click on the cell you want to paste, and then we paste. We can either paste or paste special values. We do the same. We can autofill that, then we can paste here. So there we've already defined the name, the serial number for that, the number of trainees in that class, the admission number, their full name, their gender, and then we need to know whether these students, we need to check when they report to the department. We need to check and be able to choose whether they have been able to report to the department or not. Therefore, we will prepare a key. We can do that on cell 27. We can prepare a key, and this key will have two parameters, that is active and the other one is not active. So active will denote the students that have reported in the department, and those that have not reported will remain to be not active. Then what we need to do is to validate this data so that we are able to choose when for a particular trainee, we'll be able to choose whether they've reported in the department by activating, and if they've not reported, the status will remain not active. So for us to be able to validate this key so that it appears alongside the status cell for each trainee, we will right click on the first cell for Kamau John, that is serial number 1. Then we will on our menu bar we'll go to data, then we'll choose data validation. It will give us this pop-up menu. Then we will choose the criteria. Under criteria, we'll come and click on select data range on this icon and enter a range or formula. So for us, we select a range, so we click on that, and then it will give us this pop-up window where it's asking us to select a data range, and then we will scroll on our sheet and we will select on the 2 cells which has the name active and not active, and then we will click OK. That you note that cell B28 and B29 has been added as our range, and then of course we save that to show that that is our range that we want to choose the parameters from. And definitely you can see that it has given us a drop down arrow on cell E6, that is against John Kamau, and if we click on that drop down arrow, we can choose either the student is active when he reports in the department. We can just click on active, and it shows that the trainee is active, or if he has not reported in the department, it will still remain not active. So that way we've been able to validate the data, and we can see again in cell E5 we have a drop down arrow. I click on the drop down arrow, it gives us two options, that is active and not active, to choose from, and we'll choose active when the student has reported to the department, and we can now click on active, and it will indicate that the student is actively within the department for this particular term. If the student has not reported, then we will pick on not active, and we can see the font size for not active is a little bit bigger than the cell, so we can increase the cell size again, the column size, from 85 maybe to 100, so that it accommodates the whole term not active. Then if you want to delete, then you just right click and press delete on your keyboard, and the two commands will be deleted, but of course the commands are still there, you can change them again. Therefore, once we've done that, now we need to autofill for the rest of the trainees, so that we are able to mark them whether they are active or not active. So for us to autofill, just need to select the cell, then drag along the rectangular dot at the end, and now all the cells have that option of choosing whether the trainee is active or not active. Then at the below we have 4 rows that are remaining. That's where we will be able to populate the number of trainees that can populate the number of trainees that are active and those that are not active. Again, we can still populate that is in terms of percentage. So we will under cell C22, we'll merge C22 and D22. We'll merge those two cells, and then we will that's where we will have we'll indicate number active stroke present. We'll see how that comes up as we progress. Number active stroke present. Again, we will merge cell C23 and D23, and then we indicate percentage active. That's where we populate number of trainees who are in terms of percentage active stroke present. Active stroke present. Again, we'll merge the other two cells, and then we will indicate number not active. We'll have number not active stroke present. Then again we'll have percentage. So we can copy this, paste it here, and then we can add the percentage symbol before that, and then we can select all these 4 cells. So we can right-align the 4 cells so that we have number active stroke present, percentage active stroke present, number not active stroke absent. So this should be absent. Again, this is percentage number not active stroke absent. Therefore, against on cell E22, that's where we will put a formula that will populate the number of trainees that are not active or the number of trainees that are active, because remember we want to know the number of trainees active and or present. We will see how present comes when we start populating the presence on a daily basis. But for this column, we want to know the number of students which are active, or those students that have reported in the department. And therefore, in this cell, we will indicate a formula to count all the active students within the department for that particular term, and we will input a formula. For Excel, we usually start with equals sign, so we will start with the formula equals, and then we'll use countif, because we want to count the number of active students. Countif, then we will select the range into which we want to count from. So we will count from cell E6 all the way to E21. So you can click on that and drag to insert the range, and you can see the formula now has picked E6 to E21. Then we put a comma, then an opening quotation mark, then we type the word active, and then we close with a quotation mark, and then we close the bracket. So that is the formula that will assist us to count the number of active cases for this particular class, for this particular term. And then once we've entered the formula, that is equals count if, open the bracket, then select the range from E6 to E21. You can still enter, type directory cell E6, then colon E21, then comma, then open your quotation mark, type the word active, then close quotation mark, and then close the bracket, then you enter. And for this case, you can see there is none of the trainees has been marked to be active, and therefore we've populated here, or the number is indicating in this particular cell is 0. Then percentage active stroke present. So we need to know among the trainees who will be marked active, what percentage will be active. And for us to be able to do that, we will indicate a formula that will assist us to populate the number of active cases in percentage. So we start with equal sign, then we will remember cell E22 will give us the number of active cases, so we will reference that cell, that is E22. Then we divide it with the number of trainees, that is /16 trainees, and then we multiply by 100. So multiplication, we use the star sign on our keyboard by 100. That will give us the percentage number of active cases for that particular class. And then we press enter. Again, it's 0, but later on we'll see when we mark those two trainees who are active and those who are not active. So again, we do the same to number of non-active cases for this particular column, and again we use the COUNTIF formula. So we put equal sign COUNTIF, open the quotation mark, then we select the cell. Again is from row number 6 all the way to cell E21, and then we put a comma, open quotation mark, then we write the word not active, then we cross in quotation mark, and then we close the bracket, and then we enter. It again gives us a 0 because we've not marked anybody to be not active, and then we put percentage number not active. So again we put a formula to give us the percentage. So again now we will be referencing cell E24 divide with 16 trainees, and then multiply by 100 to give us percentage. Then we click enter. Therefore we can populate, we can mark the trainees and assume that that trainee is active. Again Kerry is active, the other one is active, then again Kariuki is not active, the other one is active, and you can see it's populating us the data in real time. At each particular time you are able to know the number of trainees who are active and who are not active, even if they do not report in the same order. Even if it's Kiari Jane who has reported and is active, so it will still populate us to give us the data. We can just activate or deactivate the others just to see how the system is responding. So in that way, at the end of the registration process, you are able to tell that 11 trainees have so far reported to the department, which is a representation of 68.75%. 5 have not reported, which is 31.5%. Again, if you don't want the decimal points, we can edit the decimal points by clicking or selecting selecting the column, and then we use increase and decrease options for the decimal places. So we want to decrease, so we just click on that and it will decrease to 0 decimal place. So we have 11 trainees, which represents 69%, and 5 trainees who are not active, representing 31%. And again, if another student reports, you'll change the status to active, so to still populate to you, or to give you real-time data to be able to monitor and see which class, which trainee is active at what particular time of the term. Then we have cell F1 and F2. So F1 and F2, that's where we will be indicating the name of trainees for particular lesson. And maybe before we do that, we can create the days for our register, because every register has to have a particular time, duration, time, and the rest. So in cell, remember the cells that from cell F to Q to give us the number of lessons that are there in a particular day. So therefore we need to organize the number of lessons in a day for particular cell. So under cell F5, Under cell F5, we will indicate the number of lessons that are there in a day, or depending with the timetable organization, the way a timetable is done for a particular organization. And for this case, we'll put a typical case where it's from 8 to 10. Then we can have another lesson beginning from 10 to 12. Remember, this depends on the particular organization, so there's nothing, it's just a sample of how we can do this. Then we can have another one, maybe 12 to 2. Another lesson is 2 to 4. 2 to 4. Another lesson could be 4 to 6. Such that in a day we have about 5 lessons. So therefore it means that the 5 cells that are above the ones that we've indicated the number of lessons will denote a particular day. So we can merge those cells, and then we will indicate maybe the term is beginning maybe 9th of January 2023. So that is we can again increase the font to 12. We can bold it if we want. We can center it. We can also align it vertically at the middle, and that will give us that on 9th of January we will have 5 lessons in that day: 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 2, 2 to 4, and 4 to 6. Again we will have, that could be maybe a Monday. Then we can have another 5 days. We can just autofill this, and then we can again we need to select these cells and resize it to size 40. Earlier on we had used size 40, so we can resize this to 40. Again we can also resize this cell to 40. So, and that will give us about, that is, if this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then we can add the number of days depending with the span of our register, whether it's on a weekly basis, whether it's on a monthly basis, whether it's for maybe 2 weeks or 4 weeks, so it doesn't matter. Therefore we can again select whatever we have here, and then we can autofill all the way to the last day, so it's such that every day we have the same lessons repeating themselves, 8 to 10 up to 4 to 6, that way. Therefore then on cell F1 and F2 we can merge this, and this is where we will indicate the name of the trainer who will be training this class from 8 to 10. We do the same to column G, that is cell G1, F and G2. So again, for us, instead of merging each cell on its own, we can merge one and then autofill the rest up to the end. And then this is where we will indicate maybe the name of the unit and the trainer will be taking or who will be teaching this class at this particular time. And then we can therefore we can type on this cell, and we can say maybe it will be minor, or maybe we can start with the unit, maybe it will be maths by minor John. Again you can see because of the nature of the cell, then we need to realign it a little bit, and for this case we can align it vertically by use of this text rotation tool. By clicking on it, we can see that the text does not fit on the cell because of the nature of how the cell has been aligned. So therefore we can use the text rotation icon to rotate the text in a vertical way. Again, we can still see it's not fitting, then we can wrap it as earlier we had done earlier, such that now we are able to see that this class is being taught by is a lesson for maths by Minor John. So we do the same for all the other lessons. So this could be James Njogu. Again, is taking maybe ICT by James Njogu. So we do the same. So we'll align it vertically, and then we also wrap it so that it fits on the cell. So it is ICT by Njogu. So we do the same for all the cells, depending with the trainers who are teaching that specific class for that period. Therefore, then we need to again to validate data for each trainee so that we know whether a trainee is present for that particular day or not. And for this case, because we are using an Excel sheet and we want the sheet to be able to give us data analysis and be able to populate the number of the percentage attendance for a particular student for a particular time, then we will use either a 1 or a 0, so that at the end of the day the Excel sheet using formula will be able to populate whether the trainee has been present or not. So therefore we will create another key. So we can call this key 1, then we have key 2. Key 2, we will have two options, be either 1 for present, 1 will stand for, so we'll create key 2, that is we'll have two options, that is 1 representing present cases and 0 representing trainees who are absent for a particular lesson. Then again we'll validate this data so that we can choose. We can create options to choose whether the trainee is present by selecting 1 or the trainee is absent by selecting 0. So again we will validate that data using cell F6, and then again we'll select the cell F6, then we go to data, click on data, then we move to data validation. Again we enter a range, so we click on select data range, and then we can scroll and find our range and select the two cells, and then we click OK, and then we save. That way again it will give us another drop down arrow that allows us to choose in between 0 and 1 to specify when the trainee is present and when it's absent. Again we want to autofill that cell that we've already validated that data so that it appears against every student, and then we'll just select that cell, then hover on the dot until it gives us a positive sign, and then we click and drag all the way to cell number 21 or cell number 16 for the trainee. And again now we can also autofill the rest of the cells for the whole duration that we want to take register. We can autofill for the whole duration, and now we are able to select either a 1 or a 0 to indicate either a student is absent or not. Then again, we also want to populate the number of trainees we want to know for this particular lesson, that is Maths by John Minor, that is being taught from 8 to 10. How many students were present? What was the percentage? How many present students were absent? And what was the percentage? So we'll be able to get that data in real time once the trainee has marked the register for that particular lesson. So again, we will do a formula on this cell to be able to populate the number of present cases for this particular lesson 8 to 10. And for us to do that, we will use, for us to be able to count the number of trainees that are present for this particular lesson, we will again use the COUNTIF formula. So we'll put equal sign, then type count. If we can then select COUNTIF, we want to know the trainees who are present for this particular lesson. So we will select this data range all the way to student number 16, and then we will put a comma, then open quotation mark, because we want to count the number of ones representing present cases, and we know how many ones have been recorded for that particular lesson. So that will be the formula to be able to assist us generate that data. So that is COUNTIF into bracket the cell range from F6 to F21, then put a comma, open quotation mark, then type number 1, then close quotation mark and close your bracket, and then you enter. And for this case again, it is 0 because we've not marked anybody either in or absent. Then for us to populate the percentage for that particular lesson, then we will do a formula to help us get the percentage, that is equals. We are also referencing cell F22 because it's the one that is generating us the number of present cases. So we type F22, then we divide by number of trainees in that class and multiply by 100. Multiply by 100, that will give us 0 again. So again on cell 24, we want to count the number of absent cases. So actually we can even copy the formula that we put for present cases, but then we'll change 1 to 0. So we can copy that formula, copy, then we come to cell F24 and paste. It will give us 0 because we are using the formula. We are counting 1 again, but now we want to count the number of 0 cases, that is absent cases. Then enter. We can see that the formula has picked up to cell F23 where we have 2 zeros. So we need to adjust the formula a bit up to cell F21. So that should be up to F21. Then we enter to give us 0. Then we need to count number or to populate the number of absent cases in percentage. Again, we can insert the formula, that is equal sign. We reference to the particular cell that is giving us the number of absent cases, that is cell F24. That is F24. Then we divide by 16 the number of trainees and multiply by 100. Then we enter. That should give us the number of absent cases. So then if we mark the register for lesson 1 on the 9th June, that was absent, that was present, absent, present. So we'll be able to see it has populated for us the number of those who are present are 11, representing 68%, and those who are absent are 5, representing 31%. Again, we can remove the decimal places by selecting the column and decreasing the decimal places. So you can see it has changed the cell for 8 to 10. Maybe we can undo that, and we can deal with the individual cell and decrease that to decrease the decimal point. And there we are. We've been able to remove the decimal points. Therefore, we can still select these 4 cells and infill the formula for the rest of the cells by selecting the 4 cells and then dragging that to give us, to populate us the information. And definitely is giving us 0 simply because we've not marked the register. So once we mark for that particular day or lesson, you can see we've been able to mark one student who is absent, which is 6%. We can mark another one present, which is again 6%. So if we mark all the trainees for that particular class, then it should populate us the number of absent and present cases. Then again, we also want to know the number of trainees, or the number of times an individual trainee is present or absent. So we need to create another maybe 4 columns to the right to be able to populate or to give us that data. So for us to add a number of columns to the right, we will select the column where we have the labels for the column, and then we'll right click, and it will require us to insert 5 columns to the right. Then once we do that, it will give us 5 more columns to the right. We can resize those columns again. We can resize them to size 50. Resize column A, can resize it to size 50. And that will help us now to generate the number of present cases for a particular trainee. So then, for us to be able to generate or to populate the data for each student and know how many times they've been absent or how many times they've been present, so we can put in those parameters for those categories. Then we will merge cell Z5 and Z6. We'll merge that cell, then we'll autofill another up to AC6, and then in the first cell we'll have total present, again we can align it vertically so that we are able to see. Then we'll have a percentage total present. Maybe we can do, before we do the percentage, we can do total absent, Then we can rotate the text in a vertical direction. Again, this we can copy the two, copy and paste them there, and then we put the percentage sign before each, such that we have the total present, total absent, percentage total present, and percentage total absent. And then we will this will help us to be able to populate the number of times that each candidate is absent, each candidate is present, each number of times particular candidate is absent, and their percentages. So therefore, we need to input a formula again here, because what we need to do is to count the number of ones that appear against trainee admission 001 and the number of zeros that appear against that particular trainee, and we'll be able to know the number of times they've been absent and the number of times they've been present. So therefore we will use COUNTIF formula. Then we'll insert equal sign COUNTIF, just select that, and then we pick the range from cell F6 all the way to the last day we want to pick the register, and then put a comma, an opening quotation mark, then we want to count the number of ones appearing in that range, then we put a closing quotation mark, and then we close the bracket and enter. And you can see it is asking us to autofill, so we can still autofill all the way to cell number 21. So we need to delete this because that should not give us any data here. And we can see that simply because we've marked only one lesson, most of the trainees are present either only once or twice. So if we add maybe another, we can mark for trainee number 1, maybe he was absent a number of times, so the system simplifies these things because you only need to choose either 1 or 0 to represent an absent or a present case, and it can populate to you the number of times this student has been present for this duration. For these 4 days the student has been present for 12 lessons. Then we need to populate the number of times the trainee has been absent. So again we use COUNTIF formula, COUNTIF, and then we indicate the range. Again is from F6 all the way to Y6. Then we put a comma, opening quotation mark, 0 for absent cases, close quotation mark, and then we close the bracket, enter, and again we can autofill, but of course under these 4 cells we do not have any data. And therefore you can see for trainee number admission 001 has been present for 12 lessons, absent for 8 lessons, and again we can populate the percentage for each case. That is total present, that is equal sign, this is cell Z12, then we divide by number of lessons, that is 20 lessons, and then we multiply by 100, and that will give us 60%. We can again autofill for the rest of the class. Of course this will not give us data because these are not students, this is just populating the 4 cells were just populating the number of the percentage present for a particular lesson. Then again we can populate the number of absent cases for each student. Then we still use a formula. Then we want to know the percentage per absent, so we pick that cell, then we divide by number of lessons, and then we multiply by 100, and that should give us, you can still autofill for the rest of the cells. And there we are able now to see in real time that student number 1 reported in the department and has been attending lessons in a particular manner and for this duration he has been able to attend 12 lessons. He has missed 8, which represents 60 and 40% attendance respectively. So that's how we can populate the percentages for the class attendance for each particular trainee. So this register has advantage that we are able to get real-time data for a student, either on a particular day, on a weekly basis, or on a monthly basis. It doesn't matter. At every particular time, you are able to monitor the trainee and how the trainee has been attending lessons. But that depends on the faithfulness of the trainer in marking the register. Because if the trainers do not mark the register, then again you will not be able to get the correct data. So once we've been able to put all the parameters for this particular register and for this particular class, then we can highlight the whole register so that we insert the borders so that we can be able to clearly see how the parameters are coming out. So we select the whole register, then we go to borders. So we select the whole range of the register, then we highlight borders and click on borders, and then we click on all borders. So once you click on all borders, it will highlight and you'll be able to see how the register has come up, and that is how the register has been populated, and the borders are able to highlight and you're able to see each parameters, how each parameter is coming up. Then the other thing is we may need to insert a number of maybe color theme depending with the organization, and for this case on row number 1 we will just indicate using that is row number 1, and number 2 for us we will use color green, just to be able to demonstrate and show people how we can insert color. Again, we can also change the text color, maybe for it to come out clearly, and do a white background. Again, we can also bold the ones that are not bold so that they come out clearly. Then again, on row 4 we can use a different color, a deeper shade of green, and again we can change the text color to white so that it also comes out clearly. And then again we can highlight this row, maybe can highlight the first rows and use a different color. Again, we can put that color again along that, so for ease of following and be able to spice our register a little bit. So again, we can also highlight this color. For the present we can use a different color, maybe we can use depending with the institution. For those who are absent, we can pick a color that will be able to denote and that will help us to generate a register that has it's not just a plain one, so we'll just be able to spice it a little bit with the color scheme of a particular institution. So that's how we generate a register for a particular class. And then bearing in mind maybe you have a number of classes in the department, then you need to populate or to do a number of this template for each class. But once you have the first template, then the other templates are a little bit easier to generate, because what you need to do is just to right click on the bar where you've indicated the name of the sheet or the class to which the register is domiciled in. Then once you right click, you duplicate. You click on duplicate, it will give you a copy of the original one, and then again you can rename this cell. You can rename it to a different class. Maybe it's ADR 620, maybe S22, depending with the coding of the class. And then again you can change the setup or the details for this by deleting the names of the trainees, whether they are active or not. Delete, and then you insert the name of the trainees. Again, you can adjust the title for that register, which is D620, S22, and there you are. You have a different register for a different class. Again, you also delete those registers we had marked. It gives you a completely totally different template for a different class. And then again, also the trainees could be different, so you need to insert different trainees, different lessons for a particular timing, and you do that depending with the number of classes you have in your department. So that's how we generate an online register that will be able to give you real-time data and populate and be able to monitor the progress of a trainee in a particular class. Therefore, I want to thank you for being with me. I know it has been a long tutorial, but it's worth it, because this has been a major problem in major institutions on how they can monitor trainee attendance, class attendance, and be able to give them real-time data that will be able to manage their trainees. Therefore, I want to thank you. I want also to welcome you to share this video to help solve cases of monitoring class attendance, and we can also share, like our video, like our tutorial, and again, kindly subscribe to our channel, the Technical Training Channel. Thank you.